I've been planning this getaway for months. My folks always dreamed of seeing Japan, but they never had the cash for it. So when I finally saved enough, I blew them away with a luxury all-inclusive week's vacation. Plane tickets, a fancy Tokyo hotel, a personal guide. I arranged it all. I even booked my own seat so we could share the experience. Felt incredible treating them to something this special. At least it did until departure day. That morning, I rolled up to my parents' house all smiles. They were already out front with their suitcases packed. My mom looked overjoyed, practically jumping up and down. My dad had this proud, happy look like he couldn't wait to brag to his coworkers about the trip his son got him. But something felt off. Because standing right next to them, holding a duffel bag, was my brother Jake. I frowned. Wait, why's he here? My mom grinned at me. Oh, we forgot to tell you. She reached over and squeezed Jake's arm. Your brother's going instead of you. I stared, sure I'd heard her wrong. Seriously? Jake grinned. Yeah, bro, mom and dad thought I should go instead. Seriously, I've been totally stressed lately. Stressed? Come on. Jake, who hadn't held a job in 2 years. Jake, who wasted his days gaming in the basement, somehow needed a break more than me. I glanced at my mom, expecting her to say it was all a prank. She was dead serious. Sweetie, we just thought Jake might need this trip more than you, she said softly. You already travel for work sometimes, and this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for him. I turned to my dad. Surely he'd back me up. Nope. He just shrugged and said, It's decided. Let's go. We don't want to be late. Like that was the end of it, like it was theirs to decide. My jaw clenched, my grip tightening on the steering wheel. 1,000 things flooded my mind. How unfair this whole thing was, how ungrateful they were being, how much I wanted to scream at them for using me like a freaking ATM. But I stayed quiet. I just let out a slow breath and muttered, All right, let's go. Then I hit the road. The whole drive to the airport, Jake was glued to the back seat, giddy as a kid, yapping about all the anime merch he'd snag and how pumped he was to ball out in my hotel suite. And why Mom chuckled, saying he totally deserved this. My eyes never left the windshield. When we reached the terminal, they all piled out, stretching and yapping, completely clueless. I popped the trunk so they could grab their stuff. My mom kissed my cheek and said, We'll send you photos. Love you, honey. Jake grinned. Thanks for hooking us up with the trip, man. My dad gave me a pat on the back. You're a great son. I smiled. For the first time since they dropped this on me, I really smiled, because they had no idea what was coming. I watched them walk inside, pulling their suitcases, totally pumped. So I grabbed my phone. I opened up the airline app and hit cancel. Those were one-way tickets. Poof, gone. They didn't have a clue. Not yet. But soon enough, they'd get to the check-in counter, hand over their passports, and all hell would break loose. I hopped back in the car, pulled away from the curb, and waited for that first text to pop up. Any second now. My phone buzzed before I even got out of the airport parking lot. Mom texted, Sweetie, there's an issue with the tickets. The airline says the flights were canceled. I smirked. Oh really? That's strange. Another text came through right after. Mom texted, Call me now. I let the phone ring as I got on the highway. Then came the third text. Dad texted, Did you mess up the booking? Fix this. Here it was. That demanding tone I knew way too well. I took my time before answering, making sure they stewed for a while. I pictured them at the counter, flustered, trying to figure out how their free vacation suddenly vanished. Finally, I texted back. Oh yeah. I canceled everything. Hope Jake enjoys his trip. The reply came instantly. Mom texted, What do you mean you canceled it? Dad texted, Get your butt back here and fix this now. Jake texted, Bro, what's going down? I grinned, taking the exit toward my apartment. I could clearly see the whole scene at the check-in counter. My mom losing her cool, yelling for a manager. My dad furiously checking his bank balance, realizing he was short to rebook the flights, and Jake. I knew he was just standing there like a confused puppy, finally understanding that for once in his spoiled life, nobody was going to bail him out. My phone buzzed again. Mom calling. I picked up this time, but before I got a word out, she started screaming. You canceled the trip. What gives? Oh, not sure. I said casually. Maybe, 'cause you snatched my vacation and gave it to Jake. She laughed, Like I was being silly. We didn't snatch anything. We made a family decision. Nah, I interrupted. You made the call. Without me there. After I paid for it all. This is for the best, she said firmly. Jake needs this way more than you. Then Jake should pay for it himself. I snapped. Complete silence. For the first time, she had nothing to say. Then she started talking again, her voice turning all sugary. Listen, honey. There's been a mix-up. Just go ahead and rebook the flights, okay? We'll figure this out when we get back. I laughed. She really thought I'd cave. Nope. Not a chance, I said. You guys have a great trip though. Hang on. I pretended to think about it. You don't have it anymore. Then I just hung up. I didn't even bother reading all the texts that flooded in after. For once, they finally got how it felt to be left behind. And damn, it felt good. By the time I got home, my phone was blowing up with calls and texts. Mom, 5 missed calls. Dad, 3 missed calls. Jake, 2 missed calls. And 1 week, bro, text. You're really doing this? No kidding. I was feeling down. I grabbed a drink from the fridge, flopped on the couch and finally checked my texts. Kinda expecting one last guilt trip from my mom. Instead she totally lost it. Mom's message said, I can't believe you do this to your own family. After everything we've done for you, you turn around and act like a brat. We're stranded at the airport. What do you want us to do right now? I grinned. Exactly. Dad's texts were just as predictable. Fix this right away. You're embarrassing us. This isn't funny. Jake, of course, had the most annoying response of all. He texted, Dude, just book another flight. You can totally swing it. That really got under my skin. I could easily handle it. Like this was suddenly my responsibility to deal with. Like I hadn't already covered their entire vacation. Only to get ditched last minute like I was nothing. I took a moment before replying. I shot back a message. Oh, I can absolutely afford it. But you know what? No way I'm doing that. Mom just texted me. You selfish little jerk. Blocked. Dad hit me up too. Don't you dare. Blocked. Jake messaged me. Bro. I'm your own brother. I fired back. Then act like it. Blocked. I dropped my phone. Took a deep breath. The silence was perfect. No more ridiculous demands. No more guilt trips. No more being treated like a cash machine instead of a human. I could almost picture the chaos at the airport. The tantrum. Realizing they weren't going anywhere. And the best part? They had zero backup plan. That's why this was perfect. They'd expected me to handle it. To be the responsible one. To break my back while they kept treating me like dirt. Now they were completely screwed. And I wasn't lifting a finger to help. I sprawled on the couch, feeling better than I had in ages. Knowing they were stuck at the airport, panicking, running around like crazy, and I didn't have to deal with it? Absolute perfection. No more calls blowing up my phone. No more texts driving me nuts. Just pure quiet. For the first time in forever, I actually had the upper hand. I clicked on the TV, lazily flipping through channels, but I couldn't shake the image of the full-blown disaster unfolding at the airport. Mom. Definitely screaming at the airline employees. Guaranteed she's forcing them to fix their screw-up. Dad. Seething in silence. He never knew how to handle things when they didn't go his way. Jake. Completely confused. Totally helpless. No one had ever turned him down before. And the best part? Their tickets were strictly one way. That was something I planned on purpose, because the return trip was meant to be a surprise. I'd reserved premium return flights for us after a full week in Japan. Best seats, lounge perks, the whole shebang. I planned to surprise them on our final day. But when they swapped me for Jake, poof, that return flight disappeared. Now they'd have to grab new tickets to fly home. International flights? Brutally pricey. Part of me wanted to watch their reaction when it sank in. Nope. Blocked. Ordered takeout and ate in quiet bliss. For the first time in my life, I actually felt like I came out on top. That's when this wild idea popped into my head. Honestly, my parents were always so hung up on their image. They cared way too much about what everyone thought. Family, friends, co-workers, even random neighbors. They loved showing off their picture-perfect family. Constantly posting vacations, fancy meals, all those luxury splurges. But guess who footed the bill? Me. And now, I wasn't gonna let them act innocent. So I grabbed my laptop, pulled up Facebook, and started writing a post. Time to set things straight. I stared at the blank postbox for a sec, thinking how to put it. If I went all out, they'd just play victim like always, twisting the story. Nah. I had to be clever. So I started typing, wishing my parents and Jake an awesome trip to Japan. I was supposed to go with them, but at the airport, they picked Jake instead. Hope they enjoy those non-refundable one-way tickets I paid for. Short, sweet, devastating. I just hit post. Minutes later, the comments came flooding in. Lisa was like, "Wait, what? They ditched you last minute." Cousin Brandon said, "Dude, that's messed up. Are they even coming back?" An old family friend wrote, "What kind of parents do that?" My phone kept buzzing with notifications, and I couldn't help grinning. This was too good. Then, to top it off, a friend texted me a screenshot from my mom's Facebook. She tried sharing another one of her show-offy vacation posts. Off to Japan at last. A well-earned family getaway. So thankful. The comments. Everyone was tearing into her. At least they actually replied. "You mean that vacation your son paid for?" Uncle Mike said, "Didn't you ditch him last second?" Some random pal. Damn. Cold. And just like that, Mom's post disappeared. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my drink. Game over. Then came a knock at my door. I froze. It was way too late. Visitors don't come this late. And I already knew exactly who it was. I set my drink down, took a deep breath, and walked to the door. Peering through the peephole, I recognized that face instantly. My dad. Standing there. Alone. His jaw was tight. His hands shoved in his pockets. That same look he always gets when he's about to fix one of his own screw-ups. I considered ignoring him. Letting him stew. Letting him feel the same helplessness I'd carried for years. But no, I wanted to hear him out. I yanked the door open. Didn't bother waiting for an invitation. Just shoved past me and barged into my apartment. I slammed the door shut. "Never expected to find you here. Thought you'd be jetting off to Japan by now." His gaze was freezing. "We need to chat." I hugged my arms. "Do we?" "Stop messing around." His voice was strained. "You gotta fix this." I burst out laughing. "Oh. And what exactly do you want me to fix?" He huffed sharply, like he was stopping himself from yelling. "Good. Let him fume. You shamed your mother." I raised an eyebrow. I shamed her? Or did she make a fool of herself pulling that stunt at the airport? Dad clenched his jaw. Dead silent. That meant I was right. "You don't get how much trouble you've caused us." He finally snapped. I snorted. "Oh wow. Did my little Facebook post mess up her perfect little image?" I tilted my head and smirked. Did people finally see her for who she really is? Dad took a deep breath and stepped closer. "You're gonna erase it." I smirked. "Nah. Not gonna happen." His nostrils flared. "This isn't funny." "Nope. It's hilarious." I leaned back on the counter. "Tell me, Dad. Did it finally click? Did you finally figure out I'm not your personal piggy bank?" Dad opened his mouth, then closed it. That tiny pause? Pure victory. For the first time ever, I had the power. "You messed up big time," I kept going. "You ditched me like I meant nothing. Now you've got to deal with what comes next." His fingers twitched like he wanted to hit something. Instead, he took a deep breath and switched tactics. "Listen." His voice dropped, shifting into that smooth talking tone. "I get you're angry. Maybe we screwed up. But this," he made a vague gesture, "this isn't how we fix it. Your family's counting on you. We don't stab each other in the back like this." I shot him a look. "Funny," I snapped. "Could have sworn you pulled this exact move on me this morning." His expression darkened. "We're rolling out in a few hours. Fix this now." I smirked. "We're through here." I yanked the door open and jerked my chin toward the exit. For a second, he just stood there. Silent. Seething. Then finally, he walked out. I shut the door behind him and locked it. Now all that was left was waiting to see how this disaster unfolded. I stood there in the silence of my apartment, feeling this strange calm wash over me. It was like the tension had finally lifted. My father was out there somewhere, probably still fuming, but I didn't care. I was done being their punching bag, their last resort. I sank back into the couch, pulling out my phone as the comments on my post blew up. It honestly felt like I was finally getting the recognition I'd earned. Not from my parents, but from everybody else. Friends, family, even people I hardly talked to. They were all supporting me in ways my own family never had. The response was overwhelming. It was like I was finally getting the respect I'd been denied for so long. Then my phone buzzed again. Jake. I hesitated. Curiosity got the best of me. I opened the text. He wrote, "Man. What the hell did you do? This isn't funny. You're making everything worse." I couldn't help but laugh. Jake texted back. "You ruined Mom's trip. You know how much this meant to her. Dad's furious. Fix this." I had to stop myself from chucking the phone across the room. Fix this. Fix what? The mistake of always putting myself last while they took advantage of me. I shot back. The words poured out almost too easily. "Funny how you're acting like the wounded party here, Jake. You're the one they picked, huh? You should be grateful. They decided you mattered more than me. So enjoy the trip. I ain't fixing a damn thing. I ruined it." Got this weird mix of satisfaction and guilt. But mostly, I just felt free. I leaned back in the chair and looked at the ceiling, thinking about how the whole family thing came to this. Mom and Dad always played favorites with Jake. He was the golden child who never lifted a finger. Me. I was just the responsible one. The one who jumped through every hoop without so much as a good job. But now my eyes were opening. Jake wasn't just spoiled, he was downright entitled. Sure, he knew he had it good. What really stung was realizing this wasn't just about Jake. It was about how they treated me like some damn workhorse all these years. A convenient thing. Handy when needed, then thrown away when they wanted someone or something else. I stood and went to the window, looking down at the street below. It was late. The city lights glowed dimly. But my mind was fixed on a different glow now, the feeling of finally being in charge. Suddenly, my phone buzzed again, pulling me from my thoughts. This time, it wasn't Jake, it was Mom. A text. Mom wrote, "I hope you're proud of yourself. You totally screwed things up. You're gonna regret this when we get home." I almost burst out laughing. "You'll be sorry," was always their default threat when they didn't get what they wanted. I reread the message, letting those words really sink in. That's when it hit me. I couldn't care less about their fake apologies or mind games. I tossed my phone down and absent-mindedly flipped through the news, pretending it didn't bother me. But let's be real, I knew better. This was the start of something fresh. Something where I wasn't gonna take their crap anymore. The game had shifted. And for the first time in forever, I was the one in control. I left my phone on the table, Mom's message still staring back at me. I watched it, waiting for that familiar anger to rise, but it never did. What came instead was this odd, clear-headed feeling. The weight was gone, and I realized the harder I tried to please them, the easier it was for them to take advantage. Finally, I saw right through it all. Just games and lies. I scrolled past the comments again until Rachel's popped up. "Honestly? You're worth way more than this. I'm coming home next week. Let me know if you want to grab a drink. I'm really sorry they did that to you. It hit me hard. I had family out there who actually loved me. People who'd been watching from the sidelines saw how unfair it was. That's when I knew I wasn't alone. They made me feel invisible for years. But the truth is, the world was so much bigger than my parents' small-minded view." Then my phone buzzed again. It was Jake, and I almost ignored it. I was done with his complaining when he said, "This is your fault. I told you, you ruined everything. Mom's crying. And I don't get what you thought you'd pull off. But you just made everything way worse." My fingers were itching to clap back. Something mean, something to shut him down. But I stopped myself. He got one thing right. This was his mess, not mine. I took a deep breath and hammered out a response. "Jake, quit playing the victim here. You've got everything served to you on a silver platter, and you still don't get it. Don't bother hitting me up again. I'm done." I hit send. Then, something weird happened. Nothing. For a few seconds, I just sat there staring at the screen, kinda expecting some dramatic comeback from him. But it was like he had no comeback for the truth. Just silence. And then, the quiet actually felt nice. My phone was off. I tossed it on the couch and melted into the cushions, looking up at the ceiling. I didn't give a damn anymore. This was definitely the hardest part, cutting them off. But now, all I felt was finality. Like I wasn't tied down by guilt or expectations anymore. The next morning, I woke up to a barrage of notifications, more messages from family and friends. It was obvious the news was out. Mom and Dad were livid, but I didn't have it in me to care. The drama had already happened, and now it was just a waiting game. How long before they understood? How long before they realized I was done being their doormat? They were never gonna admit they were wrong. That was the whole point of this. It wasn't about getting apologies or fixing anything. This was about me finding closure, setting boundaries, and finally leaving behind the toxic family cycle I'd been trapped in for way too long. So I just threw on some clothes and went to see Cousin Rachel. It felt incredible to step outside, like I actually had options for once. Like my life wasn't ruled by my parents' dysfunction. We grabbed a drink and talked for ages. Wild how easy it was to talk to someone who really listened. As the night went on, I realized how much I'd missed by keeping quiet and trying to fix a broken relationship that was never gonna heal. It wasn't until the next week that the call came. I was at home, checking emails when my phone lit up. Mom. I stared at the screen, debating. I could ignore it, but I wasn't sure I had the guts. So I said, "Hey." Her voice sounded shaky, kinda broken. "We've been talking, your dad and me, and we know we screwed up." I almost laughed. But I just let her keep talking. "We shouldn't have treated you that way. It wasn't right. I don't expect you to forgive us, but we want to fix this." There wasn't a single part of me that felt like she deserved forgiveness. But there was something else, too. The thing that shocked me was how little I cared. I wasn't even angry. I refused to keep hauling the weight of their mistakes around. "I'm glad you're finally realizing it." My voice stayed steady as I spoke. "But I'm not going back. I've been perfectly fine without you, honestly. And I won't let you pull me into your mess again." The line went quiet for a moment. Then, as calmly as I could, I said, "Goodbye, Mom." I ended the call, and the silence afterward felt like pure freedom. I don't plan to talk to my family again. I've decided to finally put myself first. But I'd love to know what you think. Am I being too harsh, or did I do the right thing?